This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail. This gives off, why is she writing him letters? This gives off Daddy Sorrengail still alive vibes. The link between him being the third brother and the commander of the sky is a really good one, I think.
Yeah.
Not only is he the third brother, but he's also comparable to Melgren, and ultimately I think that shows that he will become the commander of the army.
The same age or something like this. But that is the one who says to her, come with me and live through the years and the centuries.
It's him! It's the ancient king!
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we'll cover chapters 24 through 26. And just heads up, we'll use strong language, express passionate opinions, and explore complex themes. So listener discretion is advised.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
And just a quick reminder, you can now subscribe and unlock exclusive content. That means early access to episodes, bonus contents every month, and completely ad-free listening. And the best part, you can try free and cancel anytime. For the best value, head to faithfullyfantasy.com, or if it's easier, subscribe directly on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access. And without further ado, let's get into the squad brief.
Squad brief. So this week we meet Narelle, Daddy Sorrengail's 93 years young silver-haired friend, who is quick to appreciate Aaric's riders, if you know what we mean. Pity for Xaden though, as she thinks he's Dane. We finally get the rest of the research after quizzing over the hypothesis that the Crovelin uprising fell apart over the illegal trade of dragon eggs. Oh, and a quizzing over Violet's love life. But hurrah, our girl knows what she's worth. We take a well-deserved bath to clean up, just to get even dirtier 5 minutes later. A session of steamy is unfortunately not possible though, due to the King of Deverelli having kidnapped the Prince of Navarre. We visit the king, we meet his kittens, and find out what they like to eat. No offence, Anna, but it is not pretty. We do our best to keep the diplomacy, set out to rescue the annoying prince, but the king has made his decision. Takaris may live, kill the rest.
Oh, in this chapter we start to see deeper stuff in this culture. And obviously we know the king and so many things to say about the king.
I know, but I have so many more questions about Deverelli. It's such a weird place, isn't it?
I know, but we're going to do all of that in our deep dives. So it's time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future.
Chapter 24.
Epigraph.
So, as usual, we will start with the epigraph. She won't understand why you've kept her in the dark. You left too soon, left too many of your plans unfinished. Now we can only hope the bond between our daughters is strong enough to endure the paths they've chosen. They'll need each other to survive. Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail. This gives off, why is she writing him letters? This gives off Daddy Sorrengail still alive vibes, and I know he's not, but I just want to say it.
It's something strange because it's done in a way that you have to think that she's maybe having a process maybe of
therapy
dealing with the loss, but we never know what's going to happen in the end. You know, that Rebecca Yarros put some seeds, make it look like something, and then come with something completely different.
Yeah, she might. I mean, we're assuming she's talking to Daddy Sorrengail, yeah. I would say it probably is that. It's probably a process of dealing with it. She's angry with him for
living so
for dying, yeah. And she's writing him letters. She's angry with him.
Yeah.
When did she write this?
I would say just in the same year when he died, because I'm thinking once he is there, she has to deal with all the stuff that was unfinished, and probably she doesn't even know what was all the plan that he was just building up.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was because she said the paths they've chosen about the two girls, so about Mira and Violet.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was possibly the trigger for her to think Violet's not strong enough. She needs to become a rider.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly that, like, this is part of her thought process of when she was going to send Violet across the parapet.
Yeah, it's something strange because she said the path they had chose, but Violet, she didn't choose to be a rider.
Exactly.
Was her the one who put her as a rider. And then, yes, there was a time that she might be able to live without Lily Sorrengail's authorization, or even without she know what was going on, because she had that opportunity before the gauntlet. But she decided that she's going to do it. So, and that point was her decision that she's going to be a rider, that she's going to finish.
Yeah, I think the path she'd chosen at this point when she was writing it was a scribe.
Mm-hmm.
That was the path she'd chosen.
Yes.
And then Lilith was like, no way, Jose. She's going to have to be a rider. Right.
We start the chapter with Narelle. They're talking about a little bit of everything. So first thing that she has in consideration is how handsome are the people from Navarre, looking to Xaden and Dane.
I mean, who's going to blame her? She's absolutely right. They're very young compared to a 93-year-old, but
yes.
Okay.
But again, when they're talking about Violet, then Mira is intervening in some of the conversations. She has this thing that we see in the epigraph as well. That's why you are not the one who is picking up the books when it's talking to Mira, because Mira is like straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't think about anything else. Violet is just thinking and overthinking. But Mira was raised by her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And even Narelle is saying, I wonder what is going to be like your path, or what's going to be the thing that she inherited from her mom.
Yeah. The legacy.
Yes, so is it because maybe we are talking about two roles in this plan from Daddy Sorrengail? We have Violet, there's the brain. We have Mira, that could be like the strength, or as well a protector for Violet, because
she's a shield.
Yes, Daddy Sorrengail is the one who says only trust Mira.
Yeah.
And Mira, obviously, she will do anything for Violet. So it's a plan that's been built for there to do it together. So I was wondering if maybe it will come a moment when maybe we'll see there's something that only Mira can do as a part of this project. So right now we have Violet. She's the only one who can do this. Maybe in book 4 we can see Mira having her chance.
Yeah, so we've got the visit to Granny Daxton that happened in this book. We also know that Granny Daxton gave her a bracelet, so that might come back. And we've got Lilith Sorrengail's journals that Mira is reading. She's absolutely going to find something out. She's a Sorrengail, like cut her in half. She's a Sorrengail through and through. Apart from, obviously, she went to Erasure, but I think Lilith would have done had she not been continuing to work against possibly Melgren from the inside.
Yeah. You know something that I was wondering about all of this too, because this project from Daddy Sorrengail is not something that happened just before he dies, a couple of years. It's something that he's been working, I'm not sure if all his life, but for a long time. And he put his plan, Violet, Mira, and I'm wondering if maybe in that plan was Brennan in some point, because he had the 3 children, so he was using the 3 children for different parts of the task.
Yeah, but he said he failed them, didn't he? He said he failed Brennan, he failed Mira, he can't fail Violet.
Yeah.
So we know that he didn't want her to become a rider. Right, so I've got questions about how Daddy Sorrengail met Narelle. I know I talked a little bit about this last week, but Narelle has silver hair, and that just makes me think that he could have met her on Umbriel.
Mhm.
We know that she's not religious, and she's specifically not religious, but I don't know if that's a recent thing, or, I mean, recent, like, since Daddy Sorrengail, like maybe 20 years ago or something. He could have either liberated her from Umbriel and made her see that that books and knowledge were, like, key, and he took her back to Deverelli. I don't feel like that's the case because she's had this bookshop. She's got like generations and generations of people with her. So had it been quite late, then possibly the generations wouldn't have been there. They would still be in Unreal. But I wonder if she had something to do with the fact that Violet was either taken for dedication, it was an idea from her, or the reason why Violet was only half dedicated. Possibly she was like, no, don't do it halfway through or something. She stopped it from happening, from going through with it. But anyway, yeah, I still think it's super sus that she's got silver hair.
Something that we know is that just because you have silver hair doesn't mean that you are a completely follower of Dune. We know this from Tiffany. She was a priest before. She is not anymore. Maybe it's because she chose the Venin path. Violet, she has silver hair.
She got half silver hair because she wasn't fully dedicated.
Yes.
That's why she doesn't feel it.
Yeah, and potentially because she has been dedicated to another god before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so many things that we don't know about Narelle. And I really hope that we're going to find out more in book 4 because there's so many questions and no answers at all. It will be like really painful if this is the only reference.
I can see it happening though. I can see like Rebecca thinking, like maybe originally she was going to be a important character, and then when we get to book 4, she's like long forgotten. I don't know. I think she'll come back, but I think we've got so much to learn about the silver hair because we've got Suri, we know Theophany, we've got Suri, we've got Narelle. There's more people with silver hair on there.
Something very curious about Narelle is that she doesn't look like caring about the grandchildren because the grandchildren are on the floor, some of them bleeding.
Get up.
Yes. She's like, I told you you're not ready. Like, what are you doing? You crazy children.
I think it's like a typical 93-year-old, really. Like, come on.
Yes, but it's more like she has this kind of like a warrior side because she said that I told you you're not ready to carry a weapon. It's because she might know how to use a weapon.
Umbriel.
Yes. So that's like a little things that you put there and the personality of this character. She looks like really strong character.
Yeah, agreed. So I like this interaction because we find out quite a lot about Deverelli. We find out that nobody on Deverelli is religious.
Yes.
They believe that love is alchemy, which is a nice link back to last week when Violet talked about how Xaden and her were two different things that came together to make something completely new, which is specifically referenced in the book. So she makes that link back. They think that death is just science and they don't believe in Malak. The other Isles are really religious. Like each one has a different god. Why is Deverelli different? So I have a bit of a theory that links back to something Holden says a little bit later to King Cortland. Later in the book, when they're about to leave, he says, I've had it, like, fuck you, I've had enough. I don't want anything to do with you, your lies, or this God's forsaken isle. Mm-hmm. And I have a bit of a feeling that King Cortland is out of favour with the gods. And the gods are, like, I think King Cortland is a lot older than he looks, by the way. But I think that he's pissed off the gods so much that they're like, they've cast Deverelli out, and that's why nobody's religious. Mm-hmm. He's talking about the science. He's talking about alchemy, which is like, I mean, we're getting really big, strong signs that the gods are real in this series, aren't we? So, I think Cortland has pissed off the gods.
Something that I would love to find out in the next book is in the maps, because always is the continent and stuff inside the continent. So I would like to see the Isle Kingdom, where exactly the Deverelli is between the continent and the rest of the islands, because the Deverelli is pictured as a neutral point between alliance and trading between the continent and the other islands. So
Yeah.
I would like to see like how big is the Varelli, or how close it's from the continent, how far away the islands are,
Yeah. I mean,
how
we know
many
it's like a
islands are.
16-hour flight, don't we?
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite far.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said at the beginning, Narelle's really quick to notice how attractive the young men are from Navarre. There's a really awkward moment, which is really funny. And I think it's made even more funny by the reaction that Mira has to it. She can't stop laughing, which is like typical big sister vibes. But Narelle confuses Xaden with Dane just because of the way that Violet's dad talked about Dane and how he expected them to end up together.
Yes.
I think this is the start in these few chapters of, we've heard it before in previous chapters, but this is the start of Violet and Xaden are going to end up married. They're going to end up married. We get so much foreshadowing for that. Obviously, the wedding is at the end is absolutely nothing like we expected. I mean, we didn't even get to see it. But the fact that Violet's dad expected Violet to end up with Dane, it shows that Violet's dad understood Dane to be good. And I don't even know if he was happy or sad about it. It was just a foregone conclusion, wasn't it?
Yeah. For me, something that was really curious about this scene was when Violet said that no, he's Xaden Riorson, and Narelle is, oh, Fen Riorson's son. So obviously they know Fen. They know all the stuff that's going on in Navarre. So it's just obviously Navarre, the one that know nothing about the rest, because everything is just locked by the scribes.
I think they know everything in Deverelli. I think they know a lot. I think they know about the Irids. I think they know a lot of stuff. And I question actually why Violet didn't just grab books and run, like fill all the bags with books, because what is in that bookshop? History that she would never have access to. Possibly history and things that aren't even in Mariah's library, aren't in Tauri's secret vault. This is just open information on Deverelli. She does say, he didn't predict that. So Fen Riorson's son, he didn't predict that. And she says that as if he predicted other things. So I want to know what else he predicted. Obviously, he got some things wrong, but did he get some things right? And does that link to the fact that there was this prophecy of the three brothers and it was in the Fables of the Baron, and maybe there's further stuff hidden there? It feels like it's all pointing to this prophecy again.
I give you that predict is a strong word. The first time when I was reading this, the first thought that came to my mind was that maybe Asher has power as well. You know, like Cam or Aaric, that he can predict the future, he can see the future. So when she said Asher didn't predict this, I was thinking, is it maybe possible that he has some kind of power? And then a lot of ideas start to come to my mind, because we had the rune in the book, and I started thinking, okay, that rune, we know there has to be a writer, the one who put it there. It was one of the most secret words of Asher Sorrengail. So I'm thinking, is he actually a writer, the one who does this? And there's some more stuff that we don't know yet about this world building, because some question that I'm asking is he always a dragon has to bond with a cadet from Basgayath? What happened with a dragon that had no bond? Find somebody that's worthy outside. There's nothing to do with Basgayath. That dragon won't bond with that person.
I think they would.
Yes, so that's something that I was thinking. And because we know that Daddy Sorrengail, he was outside doing his research, so he spent a lot of time outside of Basgayath. I was wondering, is it maybe possible that one of these dragons saw the value of him bond to Daddy Sorrengail? So he is not a rider, but he's born with a dragon and he has the power. And he was the one who made the room because he knows everything outside of the walls. He knows Rome from Tirandol. He knows all the stuff.
And that's how he got to all the islands.
And a dragon.
Yeah. Because I was starting to question, like, how did he make the trip? Was he just, like, on boats for months and months? And he was missing then most of their childhood, when so was Lilith Sorrengail. So he was looking after the kids the whole time. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's quite far-fetched, isn't it? How would Violet not have known that her dad was bonded with a dragon?
Because, like I said, it doesn't mean that he was a dragon rider. He was a scribe.
Maybe he had a little basket, like Holden.
No, but the dragon is in the veil. He was in Basgaya most of the time. Like when Violet is in Basgaya studying, Tern is in the veil.
Yeah, I know, together. But that's the only thing that makes me think this could be possible, that he actually got a ride to the islands. So if he wasn't a rider, then I don't know. I'm not.
If I were talking about time on boats, like going from one island to another island, we're talking about months. Potentially years if he has to research and then come back to another place. As far as we know, he was all the time with the family.
Yeah.
So how he managed.
And Violet asks that as well. She can't understand how he did.
Yeah.
The other, I mean, there hasn't been a distance wielder in centuries, one that we know of. And there could have been one helping him out. But again, this is just, they don't trust anyone. They don't trust anyone except each other.
Because the only reason the Basgaya is there is to prove to the dragons there are people that are willing to bond with them. They will do anything, and they're worth it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think you have to have gone up the gauntlet for it. Although dragons are really proud and everything. There's no reason why you couldn't.
There are the dragons. They want to be in their army.
Yeah.
But there are other dragons like Ten. He bound to Violet, but he wasn't in presentation day.
No.
So he didn't see Violet going in the gauntlet and presentation day, all the stuff. He missed all of that. But he's still bonded to her. Because she proved her value when she was risking her life for Andarna.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. If a dragon sees somebody has the value or has this worth, a dragon will bond.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a thought.
Yeah.
Not a theory. But that will be something
Sounds
insane.
like a theory to me.
I mean, we have Violet. She's a scribe with the heart of the rider. Daddy Sorrengail could be just the opposite. But I just leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. So Mira does jump in and she says that Lilith, so while Daddy Sorrengail didn't predict the love with Xaden, Lilith knew about it and she knew love when she saw it. And I think that's confirmation that in Lilith's journals, she says something, or she understands the love, and I don't know if it's not really supportive of it, but she wasn't going to stand in anybody's way. Mm-hmm. I just can't wait to hear more about what's in those journals. We get a snippet, don't we, this time round?
Yeah.
But we don't get much in the rest of the story. This was very much kind of the research book.
Yeah.
Hopefully next book we'll get more of Lilith's story.
Yes.
Yeah, so I get vibes that, I said this again last week, but Narelle does not like Lilith. So Mira says, she certainly never told us about Dad coming here. And Narelle's like, well, she wouldn't, would she? So there's a couple of things. One, she maybe didn't know. I'm not fully behind that one, because I do think that Asher told her stuff. He trusted her, didn't he?
Yes.
But you don't know to what extent. So Narelle knows some reason why Lilith wouldn't have told her children. It could just be the obvious reason that it was so secret. They would get into so much trouble if anybody knew that Asher Sorrengail had been in Deverelli or had been travelling around the Isle Kingdoms. So that is the obvious reason why Lilith wouldn't tell her children. There's so much stuff you don't tell your children because children just tell everyone everything, don't they? So the second reason, that would be the first reason, the most obvious. The second reason would be that she didn't know. I think that there's a reason why Narelle doesn't like Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
First, I thought maybe there was some like romantic vibes, but I know the age gap is quite bonkers.
Yes, because she's 93, and we assuming by the time the Asher Sorrengail died would be more or less an age of Lilith, so around 50s, I would say. So
That's quite a big gap.
Yes.
But I also think it could be to do with the fact that Lilith didn't see eye to eye with Daddy Sorrengail on whatever he was trying to do with Dune. So I think there was some secrecy around there. Narelle knew what he was playing at because of her silver hair. Lilith didn't, and they didn't see eye to eye. Lilith didn't like Narelle. Narelle didn't like Lilith. So I think there's a fundamental belief set difference between the two women.
Yes.
Which is kind of reflecting on Mira. She's really mean to Mira, and I think that's because she doesn't like Lilith. She's quite nice to Violet because she sees her as her dad's daughter.
It's true that Narelle, she doesn't like people that pray for gods. She said that she is more a science person. So maybe that was one of the reasons, because Lilith, she was more about the rest of the people, like gods. So obviously they're like Malik, and so not like full.
She was, but she wasn't. Violet specifically says her mum wasn't temple-minded.
Yeah.
So that her mum wasn't religious at all. I think she's just following the crowd.
Respecting gods, and I think maybe Narelle is using it. If she is like telling, go to this island, just be touched by a god, and maybe go to this other island and do this. So just maybe using the power of the gods.
Yeah, maybe.
Here, while Narelle is talking with Violet, for Narelle it's obvious that Asher is not there anymore, because probably that was one of the agreements. If a Violet comes here by herself, it's because something happened to me. So she asks when he died, and she says just around 3 years ago. And that, for me, is very much the same time when Andarna hatched, and I'm still thinking there's a link between the death of Daddy Sorrengail and Andarna hatching. Because I don't think everything is just because she heard about the elders talking about the daughter of the general. I think there was something else that maybe was involved, the research from Daddy Sorrengail. Somehow the information that he was carrying or what he was doing, it was affecting or getting to Andarna indirectly somehow between riders and dragons.
Do you think he tried to get to the egg and the dragons roasted him? I think he was killed by the Empyrean.
Oh, that would be like a big twist there. If I were thinking it was the Scribes and then it was the Empyrean.
We were thinking it was the leadership, weren't we? Thinking it was like he knew too much. He started getting paranoid. But he could have been so desperate that he tried to get into the veil and whoosh, flamethrower.
Well, all the information that he was getting is about dragon eggs, feather tails.
First 6, all the gods.
So I'm not sure if he wants to go to the veil, do like a clear research about feather tails, because nobody knew about feather tails.
I think he knew Andarna was supposed to be Violet, and he wanted to like make sure she was hatching. Like taking his incubator to the veil.
Not sure about it, because he was saying that he was expecting to see Violet as a scribe.
Yeah, but if he bonded a dragon, like you think, then there's no reason.
A scribe with a dragon, yeah.
Maybe he was trying to say don't, because he failed Brennan, he failed Mira. Maybe he's trying to stop it from happening.
Trying to destroy the egg.
Maybe. Or maybe he went there to get dragon eggs because he was going to trade it with somebody on an Isle Kingdom. Maybe he was trying to steal the eggs. That is a big thing. He knew that Crovler tried to get eggs for Deverelli. He's dealing with the islands. Maybe he thought that's how we can win this war. Brennan's now dead. My only son.
Yeah.
is dead. We're desperate. They need dragon eggs. We know dragon eggs go missing at the end of this book, so he wouldn't be on his own in thinking that the dragon eggs were needed for something.
Yeah.
Daddy Sorrengail could be trying to steal the eggs. And then he gets...
And then the heart fell after being roasted.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? I mean...
Yeah.
It would.
I mean, they're not lying.
Yeah.
True.
Narelle says that Daddy Sorrengail left the last of his research with her. That's a bit disappointing. Does that mean there's no more?
No. That's why I'm thinking that rune in the book is actually a masking rune. And we're going to see more stuff inside.
I hope so, because I want to know where the first 6 stuff is.
Yeah. There's so much stuff that it just doesn't make sense because, okay, he was doing a research about feather tails, but then in this second of Crowland Uprising is more about this kind of revolution that was happening, but it's no focus on the feather tails. And I thought we're going to find out that, something more deeply about feather tails, the power that they have.
Nothing.
Stuff that nobody else knew, not even Kaori. But there's no mention about it. It's just focus in the Croplish part.
Yeah, obviously we didn't get everything, so it might be that we just learn more in the next books
And the
about...
6 tomes.
Yeah.
It's getting.
Yeah, but... So this is the thing, they opened them all, and I feel a bit robbed. We didn't even get to know what the passwords were. It was just, it took Dane and I 2 days to do it.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, we're talking about the passwords here. Does it have the ink spire? Does it have the runes?
Yeah, it
the
looks
other
like it.
ones?
I think she says they're the same. But...
No, you just say passwords.
all password protected. Yeah, probably it would be the same, wouldn't it? But I just think... I can't tell. It seemed like each book was about a different island.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than one book about islands, one book about the first 6 one. And we know that he was researching the first 6 because Lilith Sorrengail said, your father told me that his research found that Warwick
didn't want to share
the knowledge of the wards. So he does go to that point. He goes all the way back. And it's just a bit weird that we only have stuff about the islands. But we just need to be patient. We've got 2 more books. I'm sure we'll find out. We'll find out more. There's an ominous statement that Narelle reminds Violet of Markham, which is not great. Not a good look for Narelle.
It feels a little bit like foreshadowing. It's actually she's going to be a bad...
Or she's lying about something. Possibly she's covering something up. Maybe. I don't think it was an accidental link-up. Either way, she does... seem like she's on the side of Daddy Sorrengail. Perhaps she didn't want to reveal everything in one go. Yeah, it was just a bit of an ominous link to Markham there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go down the ocean magic track again for those who have listened to last week. At this point, Narelle asks Violet, or she asks her what her conclusions are. What is her hypothesis around the reason for the failure of the Crowlish uprising? Can't remember. The Midnight Massacre is what it's called, isn't it?
Yes.
And Violet has an idea. She doesn't want to be right. She's terrified. She's terrified that she's going to be right. I'm really still not sure why. It's not that bad. Well, it's bad. You're stealing dragon eggs, but it's not like
The end of the war.
I don't know. It's not that everybody turned Venin or whatever. So she's trying to, and she says convince Dane. So Violet has to try to convince Dane of the answer. And I think this is because she wants to see all the evidence laid out in a convincing way that is going to convince somebody who just doesn't believe it. It's weird though, because Dane was so close yet so far years ago when he said, why would they be after tail feathers? I mean, it's not that much of a stretch, is it, to flip the words around, especially when you're a linguistic mastermind and you know that some have the adjective before some have the adjective before the noun and some have the adjective after the noun. Anyway,
yeah.
It's a kind of a bit of just shows that Dane is not that good at languages, which we find out later because Aaric is so much better. But we find out that Dane was obsessed with piracy in the Emerald Sea and kind of working out what that was about. And I do think there's something in this. I think that's possibly why sailors never return from the Emerald Sea. I don't think they're pirates. I think there's magic there. I think there's people that are able to harness the power of the sea. And I wonder if we'll learn a little bit more about it. Dane says, what? It was a big problem in the 5th century. And I just feel like there's more to learn about what was going on.
It was a little bit weird for me because, when we're talking first with Fort Wind and Iron Flame, we're talking about the gods. And for me, we're like, no, they're just a religious thing. They're not going to be like showing off or they're going to get like a special power or anything. Then Boone and Onyx Stone, gods is a real thing because they give them powers and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, so gods is a real thing. Then when I started reading this about like piracy and everything, so I was like, oh, are we going to have pirates as well? Are we going to come to the point where
I don't think they're pirates.
Ships, so
yeah, I don't
pirates
think...
with powers. They are the one controlling the sea.
Maybe.
The magic of the sea.
Yeah, I don't think they're pirates. I think people assume they're pirates. I don't know what they are, but we could see.
Venin of the sea.
Yeah. Right, so there's a quote. I'm going to read this bit. One does not just deal in dragons, let alone take babies to isles that don't have magic. Not when you risk the wrath of the Empyrean. Who did this at the end of the book is my question. Who takes the eggs at the end of the book? Is it, and this could be it, because we know that Deverelli brokered a deal. Somebody the Crovelish tried to steal the eggs to take them to Deverelli to get them to Umbriel so that Umbriel would send an army. So that could be the reason why they've gone. Somebody's taken them to do the same trade. It could actually be the Crovelish that come to Basgiath and they're let in and they take ages and we're really suspicious of these guys. Or it could be that they want them for their own use. So they want to kind of do some experiments because they know that some dragons channel from the sky. Can the other dragons? So if you take a black dragon egg and you take it away, like you were talking about last week, does a dragon need to be taught how to channel either from the sky or from the ground? Or is it just a natural thing? If you take the dragons away from Navarre, are they able to channel from the sky? So it doesn't actually matter. It says, let alone to islands that don't have any magic. Could those dragons learn to channel from the sky is the question, outside of the wards, because you were suspecting that the wards prevented them from doing that.
Yeah.
But not Andarna.
Something that I was thinking is that we are assuming that was a human, the one who took the eggs for a specific motive. We know, have been talking about maybe if I was another dragon, the one who did. What about, I don't know, Leotan? He just grabbed the eggs because he doesn't want more dragons to turn into weapons in a war that he's not agreed with. Yeah,
could have been Sigale. She's missing at the end of the book. Tan. Apparently he's resting. Is he really resting?
Yeah.
Or has he gone?
He took the eggs to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. I still think it's Aaric, but anyway. There's a few people that I had jotted down. Aaric, because he's seen that that's how it needs to play out. I mean, it's really easy now, isn't it, to say Aaric did everything. Aaric became the Venin because he knew. It could have been Xaden. Somebody did say that they thought they were Sigale's eggs. I think Rebecca Yarros has confirmed that Ten and Sigale are not having babies. If we trust whatever she says at this point, because I don't know. She could say what she likes. And Leothan was my other suggestion. Could be a test on whether maybe a criterion the other way to see if the dragons were ready to live in peace.
Yeah, the new generation.
Yeah.
Maybe how they react in an environment.
Yeah, in a war-free zone.
Yes.
I just want to come back to what we were talking about on Mira and the interaction between Mira and Narelle and the potential roles that each of the daughters play. So Narelle says she wonders what legacy she's inherited. The word legacy is not like a trait or personality. The word legacy suggests something that's passed down from generation to generation. And I don't know, again, like whether I'm overthinking this around the gods, but I think this is a really strong hint that the Sorrengails are descended either from perhaps the first 6 or the gods, if the gods were real people. And Rebecca Yarros has confirmed in interviews that the gods are real fleshed out characters, like they are real. Could the Sorrengails be descended from Malak? And that's possibly why Lilith was so angry she tried to dedicate her to Zune. It wasn't that Lilith wasn't religious. It was that
she understands the legacy that she carries with
it's
the
Malak. Yeah, and it should be Malak, not Dune.
Yeah. So far we know that there's just 2 gods. They require like full dedication when you want to have like
Dune and
gifts.
Loyal.
Yes. We don't know what happened when you are full dedicated to Loyal. So we know with Dune you have silver hair. So far we haven't seen the first one that's completely dedicated to Loyal and
wouldn't it be nice if it was
or...
gold-flecked onyx eyes? Although I think there's a Hadean link there, isn't there? Or at least there is with Lilith. Xaden's mum has the same eyes, and I don't know if I get Loyal vibes.
Yes, something that passed to the next generation, maybe.
I have seen an amazing theory where Hadean, the island, is actually the island of Loyal. I can't remember the name of it. They thought they were going to Hadean, but they didn't. They went to Loyal, and people have purple eyes, and because they rebuilt the city, like they knocked it down and they rebuilt it, so they're trying to hide something. It's a really good theory. I'll bring it next week with a proper reference of the reel that I've seen. It's an interesting theory.
Yes.
And it's all about purple eyes. So possibly, there's possibly something to do with either purple eyes or gold-flecked onyx eyes that are linked to Loyal. And we know just how dedicated Xaden is when he falls in love.
So, Violet, she got the tomes, but before that, she had to have a little bit of quizzing, as you said before, about pretty much her personal life, which I thought it was a little bit weird. I don't know if I just Narelle is the one who has nothing to be entertaining in that island, and she wants to just see a little bit more about what's going on with the young people, because was questions about what happened with her and Holden.
I'm just thinking, did we get any confirmation that Narelle's kids had silver hair? It was just Narelle, wasn't it?
General, because she's 93 years old or young.
I'm just starting to question whether Lilith is actually Violet's mom. Why would Narelle be so interested in Violet's life?
So she had Violet when she was 73?
No, I'm talking about her daughters.
The daughter, so the grandmother.
Yeah, could have skipped the silver hair, could have skipped a generation. Ginger hair does that.
I mean, so far I know that Rebecca Yarros had been in interviews when people ask her, are Lilith and Sorrengail the real parents of Violet? And she was confused, like,
obviously.
I think that she's been adopted or something. No, they're the parents.
Yeah. I know that she had a virus when she was pregnant with her and stuff, but...
Yeah. But, yes, she got the books, all of them with passcode. There's no mention about runes or ink or anything else, just passcodes. That we don't get the question to...
Well, we already know what the rune is. It's a self-destruct rune, isn't it?
That's what Rhys says. we had no confirmation.
Oh, I was pretty convinced it was that. I don't think it's...
That's why I'm thinking there is no that, because they make it so obvious. There's that because it's so
Some
obvious,
things are
they
just
know.
obvious. We are going to have to just like stop digging into every single line at some point.
It's called deep dive for a reason.
Yeah, true.
So we are analyzing. Every
I know,
single
but even
line.
beyond what it literally says on the page.
But anyway, they get the books, they leave the island, and after all of that, they need to relax, chill out. So she
Have a
has a bath. Xaden has a shower. Then they're going together. So Xaden's trying to be nice with her, like, "Are you rest? Are you fine?" And then she like, "Yeah, you've been like really polite with me and like really caring about me." And he kissed her and said, "Yeah, I'm done being
It's done
polite."
being polite. Finally!
And that's the end of chapter 24.
Okay, chapter 25, the epigraph. The most useless word in the language of aristocracy has always been and will forever be love. Marriage is a necessary evil to secure the line. Nothing more, save your love for your children. Confiscated correspondence of Fen Riorson to unknown intended recipient.
What do you think about this one?
So I think we find out in chapter 26 that the deal to marry that absolute bitch, I've forgotten her name, Xaden's mom, oh, I hate her. And we're recording this on Mother's Day, so I'm in even more of a rage
Happy
with her.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day in the UK anyway. I'm not sure. Mother's Day anywhere else. So, yeah, I do feel like we find out that this deal was brokered in Deverelli by King Cortland. So I think it's a nod to that, isn't it? That he went to Deverelli to secure this alliance. He was going to have to marry a rando and she was awful. But I feel like we get confirmation of that. I feel for Fen. I really do. He's sacrificed everything for Tyrrendor, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. And Xaden is unwilling to do that. So I wonder if it is the love that Fen gave to him as a child that is actually what results in Xaden not settling. He's not going to marry Kat. He's not going to settle, even though his dad did, because Tyrrendor is not worth that for him.
I only think this epigraph is a letter from Fen Riorson to Xaden, because we know that Fen, he really loved Xaden. There's been proof a couple of times with Xaden talking about him, and he talks about him with love, with respect, and with pain.
Do you think it's his justification for marrying Kat? It's like trying to persuade him.
Yes, maybe it's saying that marriage is something that you shouldn't think about, big deal. It's something that you had just to do to accomplish other stuff. Save the love for your children, because he loves Xaden. So don't think about the woman.
Yeah,
the marriage.
I think you could be right. And that's the thing. He maybe wrote it after he brokered that deal with Takaris.
Yes.
With Kat. And he's like, I know this is not ideal. You're not going to love her, but it doesn't matter. I think we knew this already, but we find out pretty early on in this chapter that Violet says that she doesn't want to be, or she's stuck in the house of a Viscount she doesn't trust.
Yeah.
It's quite clear she doesn't trust the Viscount, and we've not heard her suspicions about him yet. I think she is jaded because of Kat. She met him when she found out that Kat was there, and she didn't trust really Xaden because he didn't give her any of that up front. She just had to find out when she ran off with her brother and sister. But this comes back to the suspicion that Takaris is actually Merwin, and she's seeing it. She doesn't trust him, but she's not doing anything about it. She basically has to use him.
Yes. Maybe it's because she knows that he makes so many deals, and a lot of the deals are really good for him and might be not as good for the people who he deals with. It's a little bit as, I think, it's more this is story about the monkey hand, I think it's called, that you make a wish and then you get the wish, but something tragically happened for you to get that wish. So that's how I see the deals from the Carlos. That yes, you get what you ask for, but the price that you had to pay for that is way much more than the actually wish.
Yeah, it's like that with Cortland as well, isn't it? By the sound of it, after he's been taking Navarre for a ride for the last century. So, Rebecca Yarros has made it through half the book without having any spicy scenes between.
There was a couple of times
when he drained the headboard.
Yes, that's what I mean. There was maybe 2 times maybe they started and then they just had to stop.
Yeah,
this is the first time in the book when they actually just carry on with non-stop, and pretty much the full chapter.
Yeah, exactly. It's the entire chapter. I do think, though, and we've said this before, this is where Rebecca Yarros tries to distract us with now Venin sex, and we get secret things dropped in. So I was on high alert in this chapter. I don't think I got a lot, but I do think there's some things in here, things that we already know. So things like foreshadowing that he can now fully read her mind.
Yeah.
Things like foreshadowing, like that they're going to get married. Like things, there's a few things in these chapters that we just get a load of foreshadowing. They're not that interesting for us to talk about in terms of foreshadowing for book 4 and 5. It's more about she was sneaking it in so that we should have seen it coming at the end of the book. We also got some foreshadowing about Violet's second signet. She said, "I dream about you." This is what Xaden says, "I dream about you." And that's because she's there in his dreams, because she's dream walking. And it's just foreshadowing for that. So again, not that interesting because we know.
Yeah.
And we've previously said we were a little bit underwhelmed by her signet. I don't think that's going to last long, because I do think in book 4 we will get to see what her signet actually is, and it's not just dreams. She can do it in the daytime as well.
Yeah.
He gives her a big, long, romantic speech. Well, it's not that romantic. It's more sexy. It's more steamy. But he says he can't talk to Sorrengail, which is obviously a result of the fact that they're on Deverelli and they can't communicate. But I think he means more general than that.
Still not talking to him.
Yeah, he can't talk to her, basically. She's not listening to him. He said that the fact that he can't sense Violet is killing him. This connection is gone. He doesn't want to stay on the island and live without magic, which is Violet's kind of solution. And I ultimately, again, think the end of the book series is going to be like that. But he calls her love. He says, "Got 6 weeks to make up for, and love, we're wasting time." This upset a lot of people. There was some major rage that he was calling her love all of a sudden and not violence or even Violet, just her name.
Yeah.
It does seem out of character. But I'm going to, in defense of Xaden Rice, I do think this is deliberate. And I think this is him using the word love because he wants to show that it is love. He wants to remind himself that it's love and still feel that. And I think he's doing it on purpose. I think it's quite clear that he wants to marry her. He's dropping hints left, right, and centre. This is just them moving on to the next bit. I do prefer it when he calls her violence. I definitely like that, but I think this is deliberate.
Yeah, I had to admit as well, the first time when I read that and I read Xaden Riorson calling her love, that's a little bit strange for this guy. They always go with this badass aptitude, calling her something so, I'm not going to say simple, but so normal again between couples, just calling love. But then I was thinking as well, in this way, right now for Xaden, Violet is everything, is endgame. So she is the one. And then he's doing the stuff that you normally do with your one.
Yeah.
One of the stuff is just calling him, I don't know, honey, darling, or in this case, love.
Yeah. I feel like love in English, I don't know if it's the same anywhere else, but it can be quite patronizing. Anyone can call anyone love.
Mm-hmm.
And Oh, I don't like it when like strangers call me love. I don't mind it less if it's a woman. Like if you're in a shop and they're like, "Excuse me, love." So can you just say "excuse me"? I don't know why. It makes me feel a bit weird.
Yes.
It's just a bit patronizing.
It's a really big word for just taking and just for
Yeah.
simple stuff.
And I know that it doesn't mean anything. It's just a stranger, but that's why it's just a bit weird. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. It's fine. Not love or duck. Where we come from, everyone calls everyone duck. Excuse me, duck. Excuse me is fine. You don't have to call me duck or love or I don't know. It's babe down south. Everyone's like, excuse me, babe. No, don't like that either. Am I just really conservative? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I find that weird.
People are just being friendly. I need to get over it. Oh, yeah. While they're getting it on, he also says, and we know that Rebecca Yarros has talked about this a lot. She's all about consent. So she wants to make sure, especially as he's a Venin, he's saying to Violet, are you sure you know what I am? And Violet's like, yeah, I'm sure. It's fine. She's just blissfully
red flag, yeah.
Red flag. Yes, please. The "you know what I am" just made me think of that famous line from 10. I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Sorrengail.
Yeah, she should say that. I know exactly who you are.
I know exactly who and what you are. So Riorson.
Now get it.
Yeah, it was just it's just a I don't know, another feeling that she is more than a human or less than a human. I don't think she's a Venin. We think everyone else is a Venin, but it just is a weird link.
I really like that you are like looking at all this world between all these steamy scenes, because to be honest, for me, was just like
we were a bit distracted.
Broken furniture, sex, somebody knocking at the door. Here we go. And now it's time.
They do not make furniture very well in this fantasy world. I've got to say, the table break, the armoire break, the window. I mean, windows aren't furniture, but they don't make sturdy furniture in this world, do they?
To say that maybe really heavy.
Well, it's really muscly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's, what? 6 what? Can't remember.
He's tall.
6'2", 6'3", something like that. But yeah, it's like a little bit taller than me. Yeah,
and 100% muscle. Not that you're not, but
oh, thanks. Ouch. But yes, big muscles. Yes.
Yeah, but you'd think that tables and like wooden furniture.
It's definitely not violet, isn't it? It's not.
No. Also, like they've got
and movement.
It's not that. I just don't think they make very strong furniture in this world.
It's from Akiondo.
Yeah, it's all made of chipboard.
Yeah,
He gets also a bit like threatening, but in a good way. So he says, "I'm never giving you up. You know that, right? You had your chance to run. You should have run, Vi."
Foreshadowing.
He's not going to. I just refuse to believe it.
Why he say you should run?
Because he thinks he's bad. He's like brooding. He's bad. He's literally a Venin. So he's saying, you better run because I'm a bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. He's saying, how am I going to love you when I don't love myself?
I listened to that today again, and I don't think it should have been allowed on the playlist. It wasn't on the original playlist.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit upset that it ended up on the playlist because of pressure from the fans. Because when you listen to the lyrics, I don't actually think it ruins my positive vibes about Xaden. I know he's going to get worse. He's going to go downhill. It's going to get worse before he gets better. But I do think that he's in there, and I think it's different if you love somebody and you turn for love.
I think the part that you don't like is when he says that I'm half man or something like this.
Let me get the lyrics. Yeah, it's the bit where he says he's only half a man. So, but how am I supposed to love you when I don't love who I am? That checks. I don't think he loves that he's turned to Venin. How could I give you all of me when I'm only half a man? He's not half a man. His soul is still there. I know what else the magic is taken, but he is still able to love her. Even at the end, when he sent the mushroom cloud of darkness, he gently stroked her cheek. And he wouldn't have done that if he didn't love her. His soul is not gone.
Yeah. Well,
but
in the end as well, when he's talking to Sorrengail.
Sorry, getting angry. Yeah, he did it for Sorrengail. He cares about Sorrengail. He cares about Violet. He loves them both. He wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't have a soul. And I think adding this song to the playlist when it wasn't part of the original playlist just makes me feel like Rebecca Yarros looked at the lyrics and she was like, yeah, he's half a man. And I'm not ready to accept that he's half a man. I'm ready to, I still believe he's still got his soul.
Yeah.
You can feel the pain in my voice. I'm not having it. Makes me feel sad.
He's a full man with venom powers.
Yeah. Because he stole the magic for good reasons.
Maybe they only just borrow it.
Yeah, Sloane will put it back. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I like being optimistic because how else are we going to get through the next 2 years? I have read other books by Rebecca Yarros and I am well aware that we are going to be destroyed. So, but I've got to blissfully pretend that I'm fine. Violet says, he kisses me like he's searching for his own soul.
Yeah.
It's there. It's still there. Maybe she has a soul.
She is his soul.
He can't steal it. Magic can't take it because he already gave it to Violet.
Yeah. That's
nice. This is also where we get confirmation from Xaden. So they're talking about how like they can live like this. They can stay here. Takara's made an offer that Violet become the personal bodyguard for a few years. Which secretly also means Venin, if we're thinking that Takaris is actually Bowen. But
power, unlimited power, just right there.
Yeah. So Xaden says he can't do that to Sorrengail. He can't just live like this because Sorrengail is in pain. And Violet can't believe that she didn't notice it. We find out that Andarna is unaffected by the pain. She doesn't feel it, and that's because she's channeling from the sky. The pain is the withdrawal from the magic, which again is like a reference to it being a drug. And when you withdraw, I mean, they're uncomfortable, they're in pain. It is like something that you desperately need. Just even, this is really bad, but if I go without coffee, I get a headache. And then I'm like, I've got a headache, what do I need? I need water. I do not need coffee, but I feel like I need coffee. So I go and get a coffee. It's like that, isn't it? They've probably got these like withdrawal migraines from the magic drug that they've been living off for all those years. And 10 is masking it quite a lot, isn't it? Because he feels shame. He's like toxic masculine man.
Well, turns out to Violet, the reason that he don't tell to her about it is because Violet is constantly in pain and she doesn't tell him every time when she is in pain, every time that she has something twist in her body that happen constantly. So she said, well, but that's just because that's who I am. That's what happened to me. It's not, but this for you is like a big deal. Because this is not normal for you. For me, pain is something normal.
Yeah, okay. I feel bad saying that 10 was toxically masculine now. But it is weird because he can feel everything every time she's in pain. He can feel it. Yeah. He says at one point, like, I can feel that you've subluxated a particular joint or something. He says that loads of times. He can feel every single pain. She doesn't need to explain it to him. She can't feel his pain the other way though. And that just shows the flow of kind of how much power he has over her, how much the bond has overtaken her whole body. He can feel it. She doesn't need to say, but she can't feel his. So a bucket of ice cold water is thrown over Xaden and Violet in the form of a notification that King Cortland is keeping Holden. And you know what? I'd be like, have him.
Well,
Keep
that's
him.
what Xaden says. Like, oh, well.
Yeah, but they gotta go. No more of
That
this.
was Timmy.
Overall, it was a great chapter.
Yes, so basically with the interruption from all the squad is how we finish the chapter. They had to go and rescue Holden.
Yeah. How many times are they going to get interrupted by a team of people knocking on their door?
It's pretty much every single time.
Every single time. They just can't get a break.
Yeah. Chapter 26.
Chapter 26. The epigraph. In the first 24 hours of removal from the source of magic, the subject and Asim presented as even-tempered, but withdrawal quickly revealed the subject's true nature, requiring the subject's immediate transfer to stage 2 of the study. Her results can be found with Group 33B under the category Death by Fire, and subsequently Group 46C under the category Death by Poison, a study in the anatomy of the enemy by Captain Dominic Prushel. They have captured an awful lot of venin, is my first thought. Let's imagine we've got just A to C, because we know that. So we've got 1A, 1B, 1C, all the way up to 46C, and possibly more. They have been studying these venin for months or years, or like...
Centuries, because
Centuries,
they didn't
yeah,
contact
years.
with the
Decades.
venin for always, yes.
And they've still not learned much about them.
I think everything is because they only get initiated or Asims. Maybe I think at some point they got a sage, but they will never have the maven, because that's something that we found out. And I think it was in Iron Flame. The maven is still like a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Sage, maybe they know a few, but I'm assuming all these experimented had been always with Asims.
Yeah. We don't get confirmation whether Captain Dominic Prushel is a rider or whether he is a flyer. I think we're led to believe he's a flyer because we know that they do lots of experiments.
Yeah.
But I think he could be a rider. I think this could be how they worked out that the poison or the antidote, because we know that later Violet gets a bottle of it from Bodhi.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be how they worked that out. The
Yeah.
testing on the venin. And there is a book later that somebody is reading that's called Venin and Their Medicinal Uses. I think it is all linked. We don't know whether it's a rider or whether it's a flyer, but I don't know why, I just suspect that Dane's dad is doing something with Venin.
Well, we always saying that he's the one who's doing
Building an
with
army.
super soldiers with venom power.
Yeah, like, gives me... Oh, this could be a spoiler alert. It gives me Stranger Things vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Out of context spoiler alert.
Yes, just people with special powers in a special place when they're trying to harness or more power, basically.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to go for the big spoiler. But if you think about it, it's even more than that, isn't it? Anyway, let's not talk about it because it's quite a big spoiler. Death by fire.
Yes.
Did it work?
That's the thing that I was thinking, because it reminds me where Taryn says to Andarna the only reason that she burned the venom is because it was the first fire, and the first fire is always hotter. So if they're killing venom, it's because they're trying just to see how much heat they can take. And then until they find out, okay, it needs that much heat to actually kill a venom. So
Yeah.
is it turned right then? Then if it's like really hot, that can burn a venom.
Could be. I still have a feeling that it's because
Yeah.
Andarna is Andarna. And maybe the power from the sky fuels the fire hotter. I don't know. But I think that... Well, it didn't work, did it? Because she got moved on. It failed. She got moved to death by poison.
Yes. You know, in this epigraph, when it says her results, how you interpreted a specific part. They're talking about Venin, there's a woman.
Yeah.
You're taking maybe about, I don't know, Theophany? Maybe she escaped or something. Because for me, is this supposed to be like a clue or
I think it's
was
just
this a
random subject.
woman?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I felt like it was just a random subject.
Yeah, because for me it sounds so random that I was trying to put in somewhere, like trying to link in with something else.
Do you know what's weird for me is the mention of fire and around Venin and Second Wing or a Binehaven. She was a fire wielder.
Yes.
Then we find out later in the book that another fire wielder has been made, and I can't remember their name, but another fire wielder has been given the job, has been promoted to wing leader. And this just makes me, we know that there's something weird going on in Second Wing. Are they the ones doing the testing? And they're like group, they need fire wielders because their first thing is like death by fire and it doesn't work. Is there something going on, or am I overthinking it? Because we know that something weird's going on with Second Wing, don't we?
It's something strange because you don't know if it's been put in that specific way to tell you the quantity of fire wielders that are around. Or is it just because it's fire, the one who needs to be there present? And it's the first maybe light or defense in case there may be something goes bad maybe with the venom side.
Well, you'd think they'd put an air wielder because they'd lift them off the ground. That's like the first thing, isn't it?
Yes, but it's thinking more about killing, isn't it? So it's maybe if you go far that you're not going to be in control or whatever is controlling all of this, then you're not useful. Then just fire.
Maybe. When I first read this epigraph, I thought, oh my God, Xaden's like off magic for the first 24 hours. He's going to be fine and then he's going to go really bad. So I don't think there's any particular relevance to this chapter. I just think that I panicked when I first read it. Okay, so they fly to the palace.
Yes.
The crossbolt, we find out the crossbolts can't rotate. So 10 says they woefully underestimate our intelligence because they don't think the dragons can get past them. Do we, as the reader, woefully underestimate the dragon's intelligence?
No, definitely not.
We're not underestimating it.
No, I think we are
suspicious of them.
Yes. They had their own business. They know what they're doing. They are the one that constantly thinking humans are the one that are weak in all sense. But when I was reading this, I wasn't thinking that, okay, Tern is really confident that they're just stupid people. They build these things against dragons, not knowing the dragons can just pass it really easily. But for me, what more is even for dragons, because maybe it could be something else. There's something else in the sea. They don't want to come to the islands and not just dragons, because dragons in the end they can be far away from the continent. So why they're expecting dragons? So it could be monsters, let's see, monsters, could be pirates deciding to destroy the pirates.
They point at the sky. I wonder, it could be Wyvern.
Yeah, but they're pointing to the sky because even if it's a ship coming, you have to point into the sky because you go up and then with gravity it goes down.
Yeah, good point.
But that's what I was thinking. Tern make it so obvious that it was for dragons.
That it can't be.
Again, yes. And this is my argument, because dragons can be that far away from the continent and they are also protected. I'm going to say protected in the wars. They're not expecting any dragons, and they've not been dragons for centuries, apparently.
Yeah, maybe the crossbolts are just really old, though. And they can't rotate because they're all rusty.
Yeah, was the first edition.
Yeah. I get that, though. That's a cool theory. Yeah, it could be something else.
Yes. Could be whatever is affecting the Emerald Sea.
Yeah.
Go there and the ships go there and then come back.
So we learn a bit about the palace. The palace is 1,000 years old, which is amazing for an island where you've got weathering. A lot of wind battering, and it's all outdoors. So, yeah, it seems bizarre to me that this palace is 1,000 years old.
Yes.
Could be magic keeping it up. I really have a sneaky suspicion that Cortland has access to magic. Magic that restores things, makes them appear younger and less old than they are. I mentioned this briefly last week, but anytime we get like a big number, like 1,000, I try and link stuff together. Mm-hmm. Jacinia in Iron Flame talked about an ancient king who lived 1,000 years before Navarre even existed. Obviously, that would make it 1,650 years. But I just wonder if the ancient king is Cortland and he's still alive.
Yeah. And
he's got this access to this magic that is allowing him to be immortal. And I don't know if you get the vibes that Cortland is really important, but I do. I think he's very important. I think we learn in this chapter that he doesn't directly involve himself with the war, but he is supplying potentially both sides with weaponry. So we get confirmation that he is more than willing to supply both sides in any war. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. I feel like he could be the ancient king and he's still alive.
That's a good call. When you are talking about Yesenia giving this information about him, that comes to my mind as well. Like, oh, maybe he is that ancient king.
His palace is 1,000 years old. Like, why would it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's important, but I feel like he is.
One thing that caught my attention about this chapter, when Violet was flying around with Tarn, she see this palace. She said that it's really beautiful. It's really big. I was picturing in my head like the lost city of Petra, and this movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This place when they're going to find the chalice, a scar in the sun. It's a real place and it's amazing. So I was thinking in my head there would be something like this, but way much bigger, because she described it as two dragons could be with their wings fully extended and will cover the whole thing. Yeah,
I do think it's more open than that, because they have everything outside and they just have like little canopies that come out over the top but yeah, impressive.
Yeah. They land and Violet starts to see some lights. Obviously call the attention because there's no magic in this place. But when then she sees very carefully these lights, she sees this, she calls it Fallorinas. It's some moths that once they've been fed with honey, they start to glow, and they put some of these ones in vessels and making as a light. So Violet said, oh, this is brilliant, but as well poisonous. For me, this was maybe the connection with the epigraph, because the Venin in the end was killed with poison. And then they calling about these Fallorinas. They're not in the continent. In the continent they have something similar, but they're not the one that glow. And obviously it's not the one that are poisonous. So I was thinking it could be this, maybe another weapon against the Venin.
I think he's supplying the Venin with this weapon. The poison-tipped daggers that the Venins have, the poison-tipped dagger that Violet was stabbed with.
Yeah.
I think this is more evidence that Cortland is supplying the Venin with the poison.
Yeah.
It comes from the moths. I also think it is potential evidence that Cortland is supplying Navarre with the serum, the signet-blocking serum, because there is previously a mention that it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The poison, it's something to do with the poison.
Yeah, it's just a version of that one, not as strong, just enough to cut you off from the magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think this is here where we're seeing evidence that Cortland is playing both sides, and he is supplying this Fallorina moth venin to the Venin. So we meet some guards on the way into the palace. Blue Sash, I think his name is. And I want to get this right because we get quite a spectacular introduction to King Cortland. Again, like there's a list of his achievements that he's achieved in the last 1,000 years while he's been alive. Allegedly. So, ruler of Deverelli, check, fine. Master of the trade, check, fine. Keeper of the troths, pay attention to this one because I think this is important. Justice of the tribunal, fine. And heir of the antiquities, also interesting. Keeper of the troths is the one that I want to hone in on here. Troth means like faith or loyalty. So when pledged, like just to read the definition, faith or loyalty when pledged in a solemn agreement or undertaking. What troths is he keeping? So these like truths and loyalties, like he's making deals with people, they're loyal to him. Takaris is one of them. He has obviously earned some significant respect. Takaris has. What happens? He's the keeper of the troths, like these loyalties. What happens if the loyalty is broken? This gives me Unbreakable Vow vibes. Like there's some magic here where he's keeping all these like people loyal to him, and if there's any break in loyalty, they could die or there's something bad happens. And I just get the feeling he's got magic and all of this stuff. I think that one is the outlier. You would expect the king to be like the leader of the tribunal and keeper of antiquities and all of this stuff. You'd expect that because he's a king. But the keeper of troths, that one for me, like, I don't know, it stands out as something a bit weird.
It's interesting because, and the way that you were talking about this, it reminds me when Berwin was interacting with Xaden. So Xaden doesn't like him. Xaden would like to kill him.
But he can't.
He can't because he has this Venin connection.
It's like loyalty. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that Cortland is doing something like this as well with the people around.
Possibly like helping Takaris to win.
Terwin, yeah.
Yeah, something isn't there. I feel like that one is just snuck in and it's a bit suspicious. So, yeah, it feels to me like there's some curses afloat.
So, Xaden and Violet, they're going to see the guards. One of them is talking in the common language of the continent as well. Xaden is the one who said, well, like or no, we're going in because you have our asshole prince or something like this, and I really don't give a shit about him, but we need him because it complicates my loyalty towards somebody. And Violet is saying, Aaric. And I was thinking, what changed in Xaden's side to see this loyalty with Aaric? Because so far we've seen between the two of them, they had a good relationship, and more when they went to the archives.
That's why it's complicated. He trusts him. He's loyal.
Yeah.
Are you saying Aaric?
I'm not saying anything.
Aaric's
it's just
one that turned.
Yeah, Aaric is Venin as well.
There's big theories flying around that Aaric is the one that turned because it makes sense. Like possibly he's got complicated loyalty because he knows that Aaric's precogging because he can tell his intentions or he can read his mind now. So Aaric has manifested. Xaden's able to see he's manifested because he's either intending to do something or he's like doing it. Aaric would be likely to turn if he saw that that's what was needed to win the war.
Yes.
So, like, help him from the inside. Also, possibly Aaric has told Xaden he knows. And that's all happened off scene. So he's watched me struggle these past months. He could have, he's close enough to him. He's on the quest squad. It could be Aaric. I just think it's Bodhi, but it could be Aaric. I got a message from a lady called Gina. Okay. And this is amazing. It blew my mind. I mean, yeah, I need to do more research. But this absolutely blew my mind. Right. What if Aaric is the third brother? That's the weird loyalty to him. So doesn't mean the brother that turned Venin. She means the third brother. So we have to like cast our minds back to Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I'm going to read the epigraphs where we learnt it. So, one brother bonded to a griffin, one to a dragon, and then the third grew jealous. He drew directly from the source, losing his soul and waging war on the other two. But it was the third brother who commanded the sky to surrender its greatest power, who finally vanquished the jealous sibling at a great and terrible price. So we got two contradicting epigraphs there.
Yes.
And they both mention the third brother. The first one said the third brother got jealous and channeled from the ground and essentially turned Venin. The next one says the third brother commanded the sky. I don't know if they're actually the same thing. There's a bit of confusion there. But what Gina says is Aaric commanded the sky. The fact that Aaric commands the sky could just be a nod to the fact that Melgrin currently commands the sky. He's the commander of he's the general of the army. He's like a big boss guy. The day that Augustine Melgrin manifested his signet changed warfare for Navarre for good. His signet is nowhere near as good as Aaric's. So Aaric has never had ambitions of being king, of being like his brother.
Yeah.
He has wanted to lead the army. He's wanted to be, I think he shows leadership skills. He joined the Riders. I think he's going to replace Melgrin one day because his signet is just so insane. Like he knows what is needed to win a war. He doesn't just see the outcome of a battle. He sees what needs to happen to win. So the link between him being the third brother and the commander of the sky is a really good one, I think.
Yeah.
Not only is he the third brother, but he's also comparable to Melgrin. And ultimately, I think that shows that he will become the commander of the army. There is the potential, like I said, that he's the one that turned Venin because he saw it happening. He's not my front runner, but I get the theories. Like, I still just think it's Bodhi.
I mean, I understand why people say that. But for me, if you ask me to choose, I will go for Bodhi, first one, and second one, Garrick, because they were the one who literally saw Xaden struggle for months.
Then Aaric.
Aaric, yes, it would be another option.
Riddick. I would put Riddick above Aaric. Because Riddick knew.
Well, Riddick, he just went down in the island after they found the seventh den.
Yeah, but we know it was a few months. I don't think we knew it was 5 months, but...
Yes. It's interesting about saying the Aaric could be the third brother.
Yeah, it's different. So we're talking about brother because the word brother comes up all the time, but we're talking specifically about the third brother who commanded the sky.
These two epigraphs about this prophecy is something that we really need to take the time to take it piece by piece.
Because they contradict each other.
Yes, so basically the first one is saying the third brother turned into a Venin because the other two brothers, they bond to the sources of power, the dragons and griffins. So he didn't have another source, so he goes directly to the ground. But then the second one says, is the third brother who commands all the power of the sky. And he is the one who basically wins, but in a terrible price. We're talking about the soul, if it's the Venin, getting the power from the sky. And maybe that's why Berwin wants the power from the sky, because he knows he needs to take the power from the sky, to surrender all the power, to get rid of dragons and griffins. He be the only one who controls the magic, the power. And maybe that other epigraph, when it says, it never was our land, we were just allowed to live here, it's maybe actually dragons talking or griffins talking, and the ones that were from the beginning was the Venin.
Yeah, we've said that. And the dragons and the griffin, the griffins were stealing the magic. It feels very samey. So we had a rebellion. We have Fen Riorson. Turns out that he wasn't actually the bad guy, but then it turns out that he possibly still is because he's still fighting against the Venin. Like, I get it, but why make the good guys have red veins around their eyes and they lose their soul?
Just maybe I just corrupt the Venin. Maybe the one from 1,000 years ago, they were not like this.
Yeah.
Because this movie Blade, that's about vampires. We know all the common knowledge about vampires. If they go in the sunlight, they will die. If they eat garlic, they'll die. It's that kind of stuff. There's one of the movies from Blade when they know the first vampire. And the first vampire, he can go in the sunlight. You can't kill it with any of this one because he's the original one. The other ones, the other one were descendants, or they were like copies, or the copy. And when that happens, you get less power. You completely change. So if I maybe
but Bowen's like pretty gross, isn't he?
Yes, but we're not talking about Berwin as being around 1,000 years. Maybe he's been 50, 60. But maybe the original ones, they were not with red eyes and veins. Maybe they are just
Maybe they're just really tired because they want their home back and they're fighting. No, it does feel like the Venin are the bad guys. But it would not. It's not out of character, is it, for Rebecca Yarros to pull a big twist like that?
Yes. All the time we're fighting against the Venin. The Venin were the good guys at the beginning.
Yeah, but she does say some that demonize dragons. So I think we've known from the beginning that we can't really trust dragons.
Yeah.
Right, so back to the story. Violet's not getting in there without a serious title. So Xaden just says, "This is my consort, Violet Sorrengail," with a G, not an S. Sorrengail. So this obviously, again, is some foreshadowing for the end of the book when they get married. He says he wanted it all along. They have like quite a big conversation about when is the right time. They're always, and she's like, when we're not at war, we're always at war. That it never is.
Yeah, he says that if he only said that she's just my girlfriend or just the person I'm dating or whatever, doesn't give it
permanent
status. Yes.
Yeah, it shows like he's been planning what happens at the end of the book for a long time.
Yes.
Whether it was brought forward or on Violet's account.
Yeah,
we don't know why.
He knows that she is the one. So obviously you were thinking about this kind of stuff. What part that was funny was that Violet was saying, well, next time just let me know before saying something like this. And he was like, I never thought that you would reject me.
Yeah, and Ten says, congratulations or condolences. The reason that's funny is because we still don't know. At the end of the book, is it a congratulations? Is it condolences? Like, what is it? Yeah, so during that conversation, he said it comes with protections and privileges. And she's like, I don't need them. And that's when he's like, oh, ouch.
Yeah.
That's a bit painful. But we know that and that's why we love Violet. She's a strong, independent woman. But it is exactly that. Her suspicions are that he thinks she needs the protection and the privilege. And I think we still are in that space at the end of the book because he always says, I will use Tyrrendor to protect Violet, not Violet to protect Tyrrendor. He's asked in this set of chapters where his loyalties lie. Firstly, it's with Violet, then it's with Tyrrendor, then it's with Navarre, but only
when Violet is there. Then
usually when Violet's there. So we know that's the order of things. He is using Tyrrendor to protect. He is using his titles to protect Violet, and she's like, I don't need that. But you don't have to need something to still accept it and find it. Like, I don't know why she's being so resistive to it. She obviously loves him. I just don't get it.
I guess maybe it's because for her it has to be like a process. Then maybe you start dating a little bit longer. You start to talking before talking with a stranger.
I mean, she knows that they're like in love and their end game.
Yeah, but
I know you're young, you don't have to get married yet, but still, like, oh, I don't know. It's just a conversation for the sake of a conversation, in my
yeah, I
opinion.
guess because it went more public before they had a private conversation. So maybe that's the thing. That for her, it just doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
We should talk about this before announcing.
Yeah, but she's also quite a logical, rational person, and she knows she's not getting in there without that kind of an invitation.
Yeah.
So
That's like just part of the plan.
just
to get
lie.
in,
Yeah.
right?
It doesn't really matter if it's real or not, does it? They tell her to leave her weapons,
Yes.
and they're not allowed to take any weapons in. And she says Malak would have to pry my weapons off me. Would have to, like, basically wrestle them off me. Interesting, again, she's using Malak. There's definitely some connection between Violet and Malak.
Between Violet and Nolan.
What is the connection? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the connection between Violet and Malak? It is
Brother-in-law.
10. Dragon. For those of you that have forgotten, I am still not 100% over my theory that Nilin resurrected Brennan, became a god, because he basically did one over on Malak. He knocked Malak off his throne and Nilin as Malak. I'm still not writing that off. It still feels doable. It still feels viable.
Until we'll see Nolan coming back as a Venin and then...
No, we're seeing Nilin sat on Malak's throne. And that's why Ten is so pissed off.
turn into a god.
No, because, yeah, he chose that. He chose divinity over
A dragon.
Tananak from the Doob Medine line and all of his, self-importance.
Yeah. The parents' teeth and overweight, if you want to know the reference in English.
Yeah.
Okay, so the party comes now. It's really interesting because now when finally we see the King of Deverelli. We see there is a big place that's open. We had a little bit like a dais. We had the King of Deverelli next to the Yarros and Holden as well. When Xaden sees this, the first thing that he says is, fuck. And I was wondering why he says this, just because he's watching the King of Deverelli with the Yarros and Holden. So Violet describes the king as a young man. She said that he looks just a few years older than Xaden, which for me is okay for somebody with such a title and the way that he talks and everything that we'll see later on. It should be somebody like way older than that.
Yeah. 1,000 years?
Yes, probably. But, and the way that she says that, yes, he had brown skin, he looks younger than he is, it gives me Venom vibes because it reminds me of that first nightmare that she has with this Venom.
The tanned arm.
Not that one. That one is the second one.
Oh my God, I'm so confused by these dreams. I need a revision guide.
So the first one is the one that it looks really young. That's what she said. That he looks really young, maybe at the same age or something like this. But that is the one who says to her, "Come with me and live through the years, through the centuries."
It's him. It's the ancient king.
So that's why I was thinking, because I get the same reference here. She's surprised about how young for somebody with such a power.
Yeah, but wouldn't she recognize him from the dream?
But if I were talking against the Tekaros as Berwyn, people will say as well, but if Tekaros, Berwyn say that, or everyone else
can mask themselves.
Tekaros as a Venin, but if he's the one masking himself as another human somehow.
Oh my God, I love it. I think he's Venin too. There's several things. I've got some evidence that...
It doesn't comment between the conversation here and the way that he talks with the Tekaros. They look like really good friends. They respect, they are something there. And obviously, if I'm thinking that the Tekaros is a Venin, for me, I start to get this kind of theory that Venin are chasing political power.
Yeah.
So we have now Tecaros. Well, maybe not now, but he, by the end of the book, he's the king of Paramil. This guy, Colin, he's the king of Deverelli. The Berwin, he was really chasing Xaden. He wants Xaden to turn because Xaden is the Duke of Tyrrendor, or he will be the Duke of Tyrrendor, which Tyrrendor is the second most important province in the continent. So we have another Venin ruling this province. So it's little by little, the Venin taking position in the most important part of the continent or the full area.
They're taking back control of their own continent, aren't they?
Yes.
So there's a few things that make me think Cortland is a Venin. I think he's got access to magic still. I think there's a reason why Deverelli and the Isle Kingdoms have muted colours. I think they are either slowly being drained of magic. I think they've been drained of magic and part of it's coming back. But I think must have this like reservoir of magic. Whether he's one of the ones that can access the magic from the ocean, I don't know. But I feel like he's got access to magic. There's several times, and I feel like I know what his signet is. I think he's a truth sayer. So there's several times in this chapter and the next one where he's like, it won't do you well to lie here, or like, tell me the truth here. And I don't think he explicitly says it, but he asks Xaden where his loyalty lies, and he needs to know that it's like in the right place. And he's got to, I feel like he can tell when they're lying. And
Yes.
Luckily, neither of them choose to lie at any point. He knows that the dagger is not Holden's. How does he know that? I mean, I think he could, like, they've got a lot of knowledge and they know a lot about trade deals and things, and they possibly could know that Tyrrendor. Yeah, they could know that.
Yeah.
But he knows he automatically does not trust Holden. I feel like he's a truth sayer.
Could be, definitely.
The question is, how is he accessing magic? Whether it is through deals that King Tauri is making. Is he bringing some alloy? Are they trading an alloy? Because they were basically saying, we need services from you. We'll give you these artifacts and possibly some alloy. Takaris could be doing the same thing. We know that the Paromish forces were taking the daggers. We don't know that they all made it to people because some of the daggers could have been diverted. There's definitely a lot of illegal trading going on. I think Violet makes a huge, huge mistake giving him Andarna's eggshell.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't happen in this chapter, but I think it is a catastrophic mistake. Yeah. Because we know that
they have power.
Dragon eggshells contain power long after the dragon has hatched, because that's how they make the alloy. And she's possibly given him the most magical one from an Irid. I think it's a huge mistake. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. But anyway,
yes, hopefully there's not going to be like a link between the magic and the action directly with Andarna. So
and the sky.
Yes, a connection there.
So I'm 100% with you. But I think Cortland is this 1,000-year-old ancient king that lived long before Navarre existed.
Yeah, I think he's definitely older than the Yarros. There's been hundreds or probably thousands of years. The Yarros is as important as a Venom, but it's not as important as this one. So that's something that starts to be like really interesting. And again, I'm gonna keep an eye on the Yarros from now on. And I don't think we have more reference about this king after this moment.
No.
That's it. Once we're done here trading with him, we don't see her anymore. But definitely, we start to find out there's some trading between Navarre and them. And I'm wondering what could be Deverelli be interesting with Navarre. they can offer for Deverelli to supply alliance with
Yeah.
other islands. So
This is not important to the plot, but this calls out this is Rebecca Yarros giving William Shakespeare. So Violet is giving Xaden some pointers on how to deal with the Deverelli. So she's like, tell the truth and she's given him some pointers. Mm-hmm. She says they speak in double meanings when it serves them to. And I was just like on the lookout for double meanings. And I found the absolute best one. When they arrive, they say, Cortland says, you've missed dinner. But don't worry, dessert will be served soon. Mm-hmm. And there's a phrase in English that if you do something bad, you will get your just desserts. Mm-hmm. And that means you will be served like karma in a big way.
Yeah.
Dessert is Anna Winshire. Yeah. So dessert is Anna Winshire's head on a plate. So not only is it like dessert will be served soon, it's Holden's just desserts for all of the shit that he has just caused. Yeah. And that for me is like Shakespeare level double meaning. It's brilliant. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
Really clever writing.
Yeah, it's so many things. They obviously, when you're on the lookout for new theories and new stuff, you miss as well. There's other like really clever writing.
Yeah, and this is why I'll fight tooth and nail against anyone that says Rebecca Yarros' writing is not good. It's such a lazy, like, you might not enjoy the story, fine. You might not enjoy the character development, fine. But saying it's poor writing, that's just lazy reviews. No. It's not poor writing at all, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah, it's the same when seeing the bad reviews in Spanish, but again, it's just because those are not Rebecca Yarros' words. It's somebody that interpreted or translated.
Yeah.
And then it's completely different stuff. But when you read Rebecca Yarros, yes, there's a lot of smart writing in these books.
Yeah.
So obviously here the main topic is the King of Deverelli. He wants to keep Holden. And he's having like an argument with the Yarros. And the Yarros is saying, you can't keep the Prince of Navarre. And he is saying, why no? You told me before that you want to keep that one. And he's pointing at Violet. So obviously there have been some conversations going on between these two. And it's maybe something more personal, because what is the point for the Yarros say to Corlin there, oh yeah, there's this lightning wheel that I would like to keep. That does not have any political or geographical purpose. This is more like a relationship, deep relationship.
He tries to make a deal with Violet in this part of the book around how if Violet and Xaden like fight for him, then that's kind of the next deal that he wants to put on the table. He wants to keep Violet and Xaden. I think he's doing that for Takaris. I think they're working together to try and get this deal because they're mutually, like, Takaris and Cortland are, like, I don't know, they're after the same things, so they can scratch each other's backs. Mm-hmm. I think Takaris is odd. I think he's playing a game. I think him saying, you can't do that. I don't think he would. If we really think that there's like the ranking order and Cortland is like the 1,000-year-old king, Takaris is less important than him. Berwyn is less important to him. Perhaps there's like he's the dad of Berwyn. You know, like how you've got brothers and your sage or your maven is your dad. Like possibly there's that kind of relationship, and they're playing off each other. I don't think Takaris. So Takaris is possibly wanting to save face. He wants it to still, because he's playing a game. He's going to be king of Poromil, so he needs to keep that relationship. He's got his flyers, like, and his Venin. Yeah, it's big political games. I think he's faking it. And we know that he's got a politician's smile. We know that he's lying about things.
Yeah.
Violet doesn't trust him. I think this is a big show, and it's all planned. I think he knew he was going to keep him. That's why he took him now on his boat.
Something that we see like a foreshadowing how creepy is gonna be this scene in Corlin as well. As he said that, oh, how do you demand my little ones just arrive? And then we see 3 white panthers arriving to the place, and Violet is just terrified because she sees this massive cats with these massive paws coming. Turn and start to like growling, like feeling uncomfortable or maybe worry about it. Saints and Andarna, and even Violet feels that concern through the golden bond. And I was thinking, oh, so it's still golden. How is that possible? Because I thought maybe once she grows, it will change.
It's not supposed
color.
to be golden. It's supposed to be like pearlescent.
Black, purple.
No,
all the
it's supposed to be.
colors?
It's already been described as pearlescent several
but
times. Like it feels like an editing.
This is
of it.
it's saying like golden. So for me, it was weird because golden again when she was a feather tail. So
Is that because the only magic that's available is the sky magic? I don't know. It feels like an editing error to me.
Well, it says Andarna's golden energy.
Oh, golden.
intensified.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Don't know.
So obviously the conversation with Holden and Colin didn't go well. So Xaden is the one who wants to talk with the king. Like, okay, forget about it. Talk to me what you want because I can give it to you. Then Colin is the one who said, well, I need to know first that you can hold a deal even if you don't like it, like your father did.
Tricia.
Yeah. But again, is this then a reference talking about the mother or maybe something else that we don't know about Fen Riorson having deals with this guy?
I think it's the mother. I think he went to seek allies. He went to see the king and he really didn't want to marry her. But he needed...
Yes, maybe he was expecting somebody more relevant, I guess.
Mm.
And then I said, oh, fuck it.
Yeah. Just following on from that, we get the conversation about Fen. And then Cortland says, I assume you're asking for the same thing he asked for. And Xaden answers that by saying, I don't know what Holden asked you for. But I don't think Cortland was referring. It came straight after the Fen Riorson line. So I think Cortland was talking about Fen. I assume you're after the same thing he was after.
Yeah.
Which I think was like an alliance. Obviously, Xaden's is a bit more targeted. It's saying, we want to use your island as a basis. Don't worry, it'll only be Aarician riders, etc., etc. But yeah, I feel like you, I do think that the deal that Cortland offered him was the marriage and it was for allies, but there could be something more that he was also asking for.
Yeah.
And this is where we get confirmation that Xaden's loyalty is to Violet first, Tyrrendor second, Navarre third. I've said this so many times, but that's why he married her at the end, to keep her safe.
Yeah.
They talk about... So Xaden says, I assume that this deal will mean that trade reopens between Tyrrendor and Deverelli, which will be mutually beneficial. And I was kind of scratching my head about why trade would be mutually beneficial. And I think I landed on the fact that prices are really high. War drives up prices. And that means that Deverelli can get good money for the trades. Tyrrendor are about to start a trade war with Navarre. They're going to cut off the mineral trade. So they're going to need to get more stuff from outside of Tyrrendor, even if that means that comes at a premium, because they're desperate for it. They've got to feed their people. They got to, get nice silk gowns for their spouses. Yeah, I feel like this links to the fact that Xaden is already thinking about his trade war with Navarre. He needs to send minerals out because that's a main source of income for Tyrrendor. If Navarre aren't buying them, he's got Poor Emil and he's got Deverelli. Yeah. So this is him being a real, this is him being a duke. Yeah, he's actually doing his job. He's not just thinking about the war. He's thinking about the trade within his province.
Yes. Obviously, Xaden is talking about if they come to this alliance because Thirendor is on war with the Venin. Deverelli is the one that can supply the weapons and stuff to support this war as well. So they're beneficial about this. But Corin is the one who said, like, oh, we don't involve ourselves with Venin. He was checking the head and everything. Violet is the one who said, oh, but there have been here, isn't it? Have you been defeated or cured him?
They're still there. They're sitting right in front of you.
Yes, but how she gets to this conclusion they were Venin and the island or in that specific place. And he got really offended, like, how dare you to say that? And that's how we start like some problems about this agreement or all the stuff that's going on. But it's really interesting to say what kind of venom maybe has been there. Because if now we're thinking that Corlin is Venin, is he's gonna be a regular Venin? They're just hiding in the appearance, or he is just like that because he's maybe a OG Venin?
Yeah, one that turned for love. Maybe he's the one that, like... No, he's the
Love for
ancient king.
money.
Yeah, so I think he gets offended because it implicates him. He's Venin. He doesn't want anyone to know that. If he is Venin, he also already knew that Xaden was Venin when he arrived.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been able to sense it.
Well, yeah, Tarwin told her already. Yeah, my is coming now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good point. They all know. This is another thing where he mentions that they say they have maintained knowledge for the world no matter what god you worship or magic you can access. Magic you can access. Sky, ground, ocean. I really do think that. Also, like with this, it says they've maintained knowledge for 1,000 years or more, whatever. Again, why didn't she just grab some books?
I mean, she had really good contact now. You can even maybe just send her a few.
Yeah.
They had to come back all the time, just send her.
Every time she like makes another alliance, she like gets access to another library. It's amazing.
So at this point, the third comes, and then it's when we find out, like you said, there's Captain
Windshire
is in a plate. And yeah, we see some reaction at Holden, but what he says is, you kill my guard. And Carlin said that yes, because we catch these ones.
If I share with a shopping list,
yes,
and you wrote it, it was in your handwriting.
Yes, and that's the part that he felt like more hurt, or he reacts the more when it's accusing that he's a thief. He doesn't give a shit at this point. The head of Anna.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care.
Is there? He's just like, dude.
Yeah, no, he doesn't give a shit. Like,
yeah.
This bit is going to be so good in the TV adaptation with the Panthers, the head on a plate. This is going to give, like...
I don't know if they're going to be able to... It has to be like not like a proper head, just maybe a head, but given backwards.
I think they can do that. It's Game of Thrones, right?
No. I tried.
There's lots of heads on sticks in that.
Is it?
Would be really cool. This is gross, I know. It's like, but if they had the like cloche on the plate and it just like dripping. Sorry, gross. I wouldn't even be able to watch that because I'm really, really squeamish.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, this bit's going to be really good when when Holden flips the table, and it's just going to be such a good bit.
Yeah. Talking about those stuff that Holden is accusing Holden that has been stolen, he said that no, they were being basically the payment from the services they are given to Navarre. Here is when we still don't know what they're being traded, because even Violet, she can't believe it, and then she starts to remember the words from Aaric when she asked her, does Holden knows about this? And he said, well, I'm here. So it doesn't matter what he can think, But now she found out that Holden knew all the time, and he was being part of the cover up.
Yeah. So that for me like shows why Aaric thinks Holden was there. So Holden was making deals with Cortland because they wanted to help them cover it up, right? It wasn't like trying to build up an army or build up additional weapons to defeat the Venin.
Keep the status quo, basically.
Yeah. It feels like it's all like that's it. They're desperate. The news is getting out. They're getting closer to the border. The Venin are getting closer to the border. They're trying to do deals for services to cover it up. I made a list of what King Tauri could have been trying to deal with. So I'm going to read my list. Already said help to cover up the Venin from his people. The second one was additional weapons and alliances. I think we can rule that out because that is essentially why Aaric joined the Riders. See-through nightgowns for his consorts. That's the only other thing I can think of. Anyway, services suggest that it's not see-through nightgowns or weapons, or it feels like it's disinformation campaigns or poison, the antidote, the kind of like signet-blocking serum. Is that type of stuff. It's nothing that's good. It's nothing that's gonna like overthrow the Venin.
Well, we know that the Deverelli is a third party as well, so maybe it's not directly with them, but they are involved with agreement with other islands and stuff that they want from the other islands. But yeah, I just want to know what's going on. Obviously, we'll find out in the next books. But little by little, we start to see like this big picture of what's going on.
Yeah, and actually, it is again quite it just shows how much she understands war and the politics of war. And because you have Western nations saying they're not involving themselves in this war, but they're supplying weapons, in some cases, to both sides. And you're like, you are involved in the war because you're basically fueling the war effort with all these weapons. And he's saying, oh, we're neutral in this. I guess the difference, like with, it's applicable to today. Big nations say they are neutral in war, but they are profiting from that awful situation because they are selling arms to both sides. And that, like, it's not in their interest to end a war because then the trade stops. It's absolutely horrifying, and it's not fictional. Yeah, so Holden thinks that Cortland has bartered and profited and managed to acquire all these Navarian treasures under unfair terms. And this is where he's like, fuck you, don't want anything to do with you, your lies, your deceit. I'm paraphrasing, but and this godforsaken isle. And I said this at the top of the show that, like, I genuinely do think that he was around at the same time as the gods.
Yes.
And possibly is one of them or was one of them.
How much power are the gods in keeping the gods out of his island?
Yeah. And the gods are leaving him alone. They don't want anything to do with him. Because God's forsaken means, like, if you say, sorry, the word is actually God forsaken, isn't it? Obviously, it's not God's forsaken, but the word just means like derelict and left alone and stuff. That isn't.
They're not involved.
Yeah.
Anything with that. Yeah.
But the island's beautiful. It's not at all decrepit and
it's a tropical paradise.
Yeah. So when he's using that phrase, like you don't use God forsaken in that way, but it does. This feels like it means that the gods are like, nope, not dealing with that place. So either he's like seriously upset them, or he was maybe a seventh.
Yeah.
Because we know that there's 6, and like, when is there ever only 6 in this series? I don't know. We're giving like some serious airtime to this guy Cortland. There's nothing in the rest of the book to suggest that this guy is that important, but I think he's important. Like, I think he's possibly one of the most important characters in this series. And, like, could be wrong, but...
It's not going to be Daramor, because this one will be older than Daramor. Daramor is 650 years ago. This one, we're talking, if it's the king from 1,000 years ago, it's even older.
Yeah, the weirdest thing, though, is the reason, like, what Justinia needed help with was his name. Can't be Cortland, can it? Because that would ring a bell, surely, with Violet. She's insanely good at reciting facts. She needed... Justinia needed help to translate the name of an ancient king.
Yes.
And we didn't get the name in that passage, didn't say it. Justinia didn't write it down.
Yes. It will be too easy if the name and the end is Cortland.
The same.
Or possibly something similar, or anagram, maybe.
Yeah, and if you are really 1,000 years...
You would change your name, eventually.
Would you, like, how would you...
Taking your name, your death, or you just... move and come back with another name.
But how would you keep that a secret from your people? Because every generation would remember, and you'd be like, I mean, Queen Elizabeth lived a long time. But she got old.
Yeah.
She didn't say 21-year-old forever.
I don't know, wiping people's memory. It's been 100 years and people think that it's been 10.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, Holden has a tantrum. He says, you do not make deals with provinces, let alone the son of a traitor who blackmailed his way to a title. I think we're supposed to think that Xaden's the one that blackmailed his way to a title with the Eurasian Accord, but there was no blackmail involved there. Xaden didn't even want to become Duke. He didn't want it.
He didn't ask for it.
He didn't ask for it. He was told that. So Llewellyn and Duke Lindell were cast out because they'd been found out that they were loyal to Eurasia all along. My theory is that Fen Riorson blackmailed the king with the knowledge of Venin. So Fen Riorson went to King Tauri and said, I know you're covering this up. I'm going to blow this out of proportion. I think they knew there was... that Fen Riorson was leading the revolution at that point. And we talked last week about how Navarre attacked him. He didn't attack them.
Yes.
And he managed to get a title because King Tauri didn't, he was scared of him. He knew he had an army. He didn't
want to keep the party in peace.
Yeah. So part of a fumbled mistake was giving Fen Riorson the title, and it never should have been his in the first place. So Holden knows this.
Yeah.
And we've got it there. We've got evidence on the page that it was either Fen Riorson or Xaden who blackmailed their way to a title, and we know it wasn't Xaden.
Yeah. It's
got to be Fen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because, like we say, Xaden wasn't looking for any of this. He didn't want more power, more when he's in the Venin status. He was like really upset when he found out that he was the Duke of Tyrendor. And Violet was like, "Oh, you should be impressed. You should be happy." Like, no, when I'm like this. So obviously he didn't do anything to get it. So it can't be him.
Also, kinda now we suspect that the grandfather that was a rider 50 years ago, but actually it was like a great uncle. Well, it was actually his grandfather, but they said it was his great uncle. Being a rider now, like, not an issue if he wasn't supposed to be the Duke of Tyrendor, but all of a sudden Fen became that because he blackmailed his way into it. Because we were like, why would they have let him be a rider, etc. Well,
yeah.
Anyway, and then we know, I think, by now that it's not the dad of the mother because she's from Halion. And I think she was probably the daughter of a... It's ruled by a triumvirate, isn't it? Like, kind of like ancient Rome.
Yes, definitely we can discard that was from part of the mother. Has to be from Fen.
Yeah.
It was a Riorson.
Yeah, and while Fen was infantry, for a reason, like he was possibly nobility, but not the Duke of Tyrendor. I don't know. Anyway.
Something, just lower.
Because Riorson House was obviously important, but possibly the the seat of the Duke was not always in Aurasia. Could have been Llewellyn.
Sure. So after that tantrum from Holden, Colin said, well, I just had enough of all of this, so Tecaros might live, kill them all.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter. We Colin saying his BFF can live.
Yeah. Tecaros is fine. Okay, we've talked. We've talked and talked. Let's move on to Aaric's auguries. So, in honor of our favorite princess, Signet, this is the part of the show where we think back of the discussion we've had today and pick our favorite theory in the hopes that we can stitch them all together before book 4 comes out and just see how wrong we were. What is your favorite one from today?
It's gonna be a weird one because last episode I say Tecaros is a Venin. Now I'm gonna say Colin is a Venin.
Everyone's a Venin.
Yes, eventually I'll be right. That's my technique.
Throw so many darts.
Yes.
Eventually one will hit the target.
Yeah, and probably in next Aaric's augury is gonna be somebody else.
Who are we gonna meet next time?
Somebody from Helion, maybe. Xaden's mom.
No, we don't go there next. We go to Dune next. Go to Umbriel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, what about you? Which one is yours?
So, like, I really like yours. I think you should have expanded it, though, to be like, he's also the 1,000-year-old king. No, I'm going to go for Aaric being the third brother that commanded the sky. I just really like it. I think it's neat.
Yeah.
He's he's literally the third brother. He also, I believe he's going to replace Melgren.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Because I think at some point he said that he's more interested in being maybe a general than being a king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll replace Melgren because his signet is so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking with the theme of precognition, let's look ahead to the epigraph for chapter 27 next week. Sometimes diplomacy is best served at sword point. Journal of Captain Lilith Sorrengail. We had this as a sneak peek of Onyx Storm before it came out, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, shall we enter the interrogation chamber?
Okay, let's go to the interrogation chamber.
Last week, we said you can't bond Ten or Andarna. Who are you seeking out at threshing?
I will definitely go for Sorrengail.
I knew it. You want to be Xaden?
I was thinking Coda, but to be honest, just because he's the biggest and the strongest doesn't convince me. Sorrengail, I love her personality. The time we have seen with Xaden's point of view, she's just hilarious. So I will definitely go for her.
Yeah, I would choose Sorrengail as well.
So original.
I don't think, well, I mean, she's not going to choose me, but yeah, should I try and think of a different one?
Atron. A funny one.
No, he'd annoy me.
You don't want boogers in your face.
No, I don't want to be snotted on and fought with all the time. It depends, because if I could pick one that I knew that I would get the same signet as the rider, I would choose Crod. But it's more to do with the person than the
dragon.
The dragon, but I want to be a distance wielder.
Yeah.
I guess the only ones we get in the heads of are Ten, Sorrengail. We get a bit of Fierge. Fierge is quite cool, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's not a main character energy, though. Yeah.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we also get Imogen's, but I can't remember her name. Glean. This week's question. You have to leave Navarre and live out the rest of your life on an Isle Kingdom. Which are you choosing?
I think I know which one is Trevor.
Yeah, same. Okay, so if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod, and also now on Good Pods with the same handle. Don't forget, if you want access to our show notes, an extra bonus episode every month, we are going to be recording another one this week. Also, don't forget, if you want access to things like show notes, to an additional bonus episode every month. We're about to film a new one this week. Then you can look at our subscriptions either via Spotify or Apple or directly on our website, which is run through Supercast. faithfullyfantasy.com is where you'll find all the information. There's so many different options with different levels of additional content, so we're sure there's something for everyone.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!